Hello, everyone. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today is September 14th, 2021. Click on the subscribe button in the lower right to subscribe to future episodes, and also on the notification bell in the upper right to be notified when they're released. Today's topic is demonizing minorities. Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, and Nancy Pelosi each previously announced that the Democrats would not impose a COVID vaccine requirement. They even stated that the president lacked the power to do so. Now that the unvaccinated are a minority of only 25%, the president characteristically breaks his word. Most of that minority will be required to get vaccinated or tested weekly to keep their jobs. Dictatorships get started like this. The leader demands universal compliance only when he can turn the majority against the minority. When Biden announced his plan last week, he stated that he was, quote, losing patience, close quote, with those who are unvaccinated, and that he would get the Republican governors who oppose him, quote, out of the way, close quote, treating them like children, both the unvaccinated and the governors. Now, he also stated he was sympathetic to those who are literally angry with the unvaccinated. Well, what does he mean when he says he will get the opposing governors, quote, out of the way? Does he plan to have the U.S. Army remove them? When he states that he sympathizes with those who are angry with the unvaccinated, is he endorsing mob violence against them? If Trump made such a statement, can anyone doubt that the corporate media would accuse him of promoting violence? My dismay has nothing to do with the vaccine per se. All four members of my family, including myself, are vaccinated. To me, this is about a slippery slope of central government encroachment upon our freedoms. Since the start of the pandemic, the Democrats have steadily come up with so-called reasons to increasingly restrict our freedoms. Thus, this is about the arbitrary seizure of power by the central government through executive action. At the very least, this kind of action should require Congress to pass a law, even though it seems to me that law would likely be ruled unconstitutional. Even worse is Biden's apparently deliberate effort to demonize a minority, meaning the unvaccinated, thereby implicitly endorsing public condemnation and ostracization and possibly even violence against them to force them to comply. When Biden says his decision is, quote, not about freedom, close quote, he is wrong. According to a British medical study reported in The Guardian 3 days ago, quote, boys aged 12 to 15 are 4 to 6 times more likely to be diagnosed with vaccine-related myocarditis than ending up in the hospital with COVID, close quote. In other words, they're saying the vaccine to those boys aged 12 to 15 is more dangerous to those boys than is the COVID virus without them being vaccinated. The vaccine is more dangerous than to a boy 12 to 15 than the COVID virus is to the unvaccinated boy of that same age. Thus, quote, the UK's Joint Committee on Vaccines and Immunization did not recommend vaccinating healthy 12 to 15-year-olds, but referred the matter to the UK's chief medical officers, who are expected to make a decision next week. Many states and businesses have indicated that they will challenge Biden's mandate in court. His reaction is a flippant challenge. Have at it, he says. The 80 million affected by the president's mandate, to the 80 million affected by the president's mandate, I have a message. Biden disclosed that he will lie about a minority and demonize them if it works to his political advantage. It happened when he announced over a year ago that he was going to run for president. His first campaign ad falsely accused supporters of the Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. He accused those who wanted to keep that statue in that park as being white supremacists. Specifically, Biden told a whopper of a lie when he said former President Trump claimed that some of the white nationalists that assembled at the park were, quote, very fine people, quote, close quote. The video record clearly shows that Trump's remark applied to those who merely wanted to protest the removal of the Lee statue and the renaming of the park. It also shows that Trump explicitly condemned the white nationalist. Biden's lie disclosed him to be a demagogue of the worst variety. Yet few Americans cared enough to learn the truth, because those of us who wanted to keep the Lee statue in place were portrayed as a demonized minority. You didn't need to worry about us. We're just a bunch of rednecks that don't know anything. To those of you among the 80 million unvaccinated who have legitimate reasons for refusing them, recognize that you stood by idly while our Southern heritage was demonized and our region has been subjected to continual cultural genocide with the removal of more Confederate statues and the renaming of schools and the demonization of men like Robert E. Lee. Our experience was your early warning signal, but you threw us under the bus. Now, the president breaks his word to you so that he may distract media attention from his shameful Afghanistan failures. Thus, you are now becoming the victims of his demonization and demagoguery. Well, based upon our experience, you will find it infuriating. So with that, let me head on to something else I'd like to show you. Yeah, here we go. This is my book entitled Trading with the Enemy. And it's about the trading between the North and the South during the Civil War. Twice as much cotton during the war was sold to Northerners across the battle lines than made it through the enemy blockade, the maritime blockade to Europe. There was a lot going on here, and there's particularly an interesting story about how a senator from Rhode Island was involved in trading weapons for cotton, because he owned a bunch of cotton mills. Now you can get a copy of this at Barnes and Noble or Amazon. Just look for me, Trading with the Enemy, Philip Lee. It'll show up and you can buy it there. If, however, you'd like an autographed copy from me, this would be $29. Without the autograph, you get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon for $26. But if you want an autograph copy and you live here in the United States, it's $29. And I will cover the postage, but you got to contact me via email, Phil, P-H-I-L _Lee, L-E-I-G-H @me.com. Okay, that's our show for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.